YouTube comments from a video titled, What U.S. Insurance Companies Aren't Telling You Informer. Part 2.
At Amber Howard 7807 wrote,
You guys really need to learn how to hide these people's identities better. Her voice could easily be matched with her stories from her ex-co-workers. Also, just stop showing their body. That can also be dissected for her ex-work to figure out who she is.
At Andrew PD6EY wrote,
If you guys called me every day, I'd take full use of my First Amendment to make you want to forever sleep. People who in debt you will use every trick they can.
Be rude, ignore, send whatever payments you need, and dispute it if it's bullshit.
At user 83411STWR wrote,
I believe it. My dad had a heart attack and sepsis and was in the hospital. He was the main provider for the family. I stepped in and was paying some bills he owed. One of them being his car insurance. I told the lady if there was any way to extend due date for the payment, and she was honest with me. She broke down and said she was in the same situation last year with her mother and that insurance companies don't care. All they want is your money. She was kind enough to help me lower the amount, but that it was out of her power to extend the payment.
At Jabenzy7645 wrote,
Lol, she worked in sub. If they subbing someone, they OWE. They were found at fault for something. Why would you not constantly ask them for your money back?
At Twilson951 wrote,
Insurance insure your ignorance. I worked for a major insurance company. As an employee, they have a shared helping hands program, and because of the higher cost in living, they found that it was my fault. So no, helping hands for me. That living below one's means should go out the window when the means keep increasing.
At JCET4QK wrote,
And you have most PPL worried about what a woman does with an unwanted pregnancy, or what a person identifies themselves, or better yet worries about the feelings of white children if they learn history that isn't whitewashed. This is a war not of race the 1% manufacture over and over, but it's a class war. Why can't more PPL see that?
Cloud Cyclone wrote,
All-for-profit insurance is a scam by necessity and design. The level of greed is the only thing to be kept in check. Otherwise, go non-profit only.
Zakfi wrote,
7 verse 51. That's exactly what the judge in my town used to tell PPL who couldn't afford their monthly court cost payment. Same for a cell phone. If you have that, cancel it and pay us instead. I live in one of only a couple counties that will put PPL in jail for unpaid court fines, which then adds more fines and increases the monthly cost further. They then lose their job because of the jail time, and therefore definitely can't pay it the next time, and it's more as well, which results in going back to jail, and the entire process repeats. It traps PPL in an endless cycle of ever-increasing costs and jail, which all makes them more and more money.
That They Call Me Gay Jesus wrote,
As a single child who grew up with literally every adult on my dad's side of the family with severe medical issues, save my grandmother, here's my advice in 2025. 1. Never answer any phone call that is not saved in your phone. 2. Google search the number to see if there are any reports on it. 3. Block any repeat calls from these kind of numbers. They will likely spoof a new one, very similar, and you just keep blocking. 4. If you do answer, and it is a medical bill collector, hang up and block the number. 5. Call the billing department for the medical office or institution you actually owe debt to and ask for an itemized bill. Hospital billing errors are notorious for charging for services that either didn't happen or charging double or triple for services that did. 6. Ask the billing department to send you the form or link to fill out the form for financial hardship. Most hospitals will lower or cancel your debt depending on your income level. 7. Stay clear, if you can, of for-profit hospitals and go for university ones. 8. Know that medical debt is not on your credit score anymore thanks to Joe Biden. Side note, I had government health care growing up in the Midwest because my father was disabled, so I qualified. As an adult, I have had multiple employer-based insurances and now am paying for it myself through the healthcare marketplace. The best insurance of them all? The Republican-ran state insurance for low-income children. This is not a partisan issue. This is a we, the people issue.
A sneaky_you wrote.
I've never had to fight with insurance. My back surgery was $100K. I paid $0. I got hit on a motorcycle by an elderly lady. Her insurance hand delivered a check to me. I crashed the same motorcycle 10 years later, and the insurance paid for the bike fare and square.
Anshul Druhila wrote.
How can you call yourself a developed country when your people can't afford education and medical care? Your nation had failed. And those have failed too, that have failed to give its citizens easy access to medical care and education. Filling pockets of a few by squeezing money out of the major common folk is the reality of your development. Look at the sad stories in comments down below, and you'll see how fat per capita incomes or the extravagant armies are a facade, nothing more.
At Real Blackman 45 wrote.
While it sucks that this happens, she didn't need to wear a mask for this. She was simply a debt collector lol. She said she felt like one. It's because you were one.
At Tommy Oliver 5106 wrote.
Healthcare insurance keeps committing robbery OF Medicare and Medicaid. When they get caught, nothing happens. THE elected leaders allow them to keep doing this. To make them accountable. THE companies would withhold campaign contributions. Money, in politics, is corruption.
At Tommy Oliver 5106 wrote.
THE elected leaders have been purchased by lobbyists from THE insurance companies. Insurance companies are free to take your money then deny you treatments or medications. THE Affordable Care ACTWAS supposed to this but Republicans have been on board with THE insurance companies and stealing money from THE American people.
At Mactastic 900 wrote.
I got a question. Why does everyone pay for healthcare you know is not going to pay when you get sick? Lots of tricks out there. At the end of the day, it's us paying them that's causing this. They can't survive if you don't pay them.
At My Lovely Life Crew wrote.
She is talking about P&C insurance. A lot of people are in her talking about health insurance, and I know it sucks because they weren't clear on what type of insurance they did this so people could just come and complain.
At Regina McNish wrote.
Okay, but why is anyone answering the calls in the first place? I'm asking because I had cancer as a teen twice and basically grew up in the hospital, and I only answer calls from people I actually know. People, what are you doing?
Kiritandasu wrote.
The fact that Americans will pay 3 to 5 times for a single healthcare visit and explain it's better than paying taxes and seeing a doctor when you need it says all you need to know about the power of propaganda. I have good insurance, and with a recent visit, paid premiums plus copay, deductible plus patient's portion for a lateral 3-minute visit with a doctor. An appointment billed at $150 plus all the waiting for months for a visit contradicts all the propaganda by insurance companies to fool Americans into thinking everyone else with socialized medicine has it worse.
At LA2TX Queen 1 wrote,
I have been dealing with Progressive for 5 years regarding an insurance claim I believe was mishandled. From my perspective, they unfairly shifted responsibility onto me and invoked the appraisal clause, requiring me to spend $1,200 on appraisals. Despite this, I believe they did not fully adhere to policy terms by excluding my appraisers from the negotiation process. The total damages I've incurred as a result of the accident amount to approximately $84,000, but the claims director, CJ Cabana, has proposed a settlement of only $36,000. In my view, Progressive, as a billion-dollar company, appears unwilling to address its obligations adequately, potentially leaving consumers responsible for the consequences of adjuster errors and omissions. This situation has left me with a $48,000 gap due to what I perceive as Progressive's mishandling and the alleged conduct of Ryan Weaver, Laura Adams, and the appraisers hired from On the Go Appraisal, Patrick Sariel and Wayne Smith. These statements reflect my perspective and experience with this matter.
Decory POFNC wrote,
Is this insider working for a collections company or an insurance company? At one point, she says she's working for an insurance company. But then later, she talks about collecting settlements. And then later, she talks about verifying if the debtors have insurance.
At Aniostawart YS1RL wrote,
I am 16 years old, and I see my mother crying on her knees every month about money, even with insurance taking it. My mother put her life on the line for money just for insurance. I want to protest and use my words to help others, but I don't know where to start. My mother stays in bed and complains to me that she has depression because of money, not just for bills, but insurance. My mom lost her job because she took my sister to college. She's now looking for job searching, and I haven't been to the doctors in so long because when we walk in, my mother says she has no insurance, even a job, and they look at her crazy.
At Wonky2 wrote,
This video is sensationalizing the process of subrogating an auto claim. Subrogation is the process of recapturing monies paid from parties that caused the initial loss. Case in point, if I get into an accident and the other driver is at fault, my insurance company can pay outright for the losses and then subrogate the other driver's insurance company to recoup payments for the damages. In most cases, subrogation happens between both insurance carriers involved, not the claimants/insureds. Does that mean that there are not any frowned upon or unethical actions taken by insurance companies during the subrogation process? Definitely not.
At Volumixon wrote,
I actually have had a run-in with a doctor's office not billing my insurance correctly. They had sold the debt off, didn't have record of the bill, and I kept getting harassed by the company who bought the bill from the doctor's office. They tried to convince me to set up a payment plan. They tried to coerce me to do any number of things, but my response was the same as it always had been. I am on SSI and SSDI, and I have been on disability since 2013. Then they threatened to garnish my wages/take me to court, and that was the last straw. I told them that I was done with being respectful and understanding, as they obviously didn't care that I had told the doctor's office and now them. I had insurance, and it had been incorrectly billed several times. My entire final speech went something like, "Here's the deal. You are going to stop calling me. You're not going to harass me anymore. I have no wages to garnish, as I am on disability. The government doesn't like to give me the benefits I am forced to live off of. It certainly will not be giving them to you." I blocked the number and left a review in Google for the doctor's office urging people to keep their proof of payment statements and to make sure they knew why they were getting bills ASAP. I had paid the amount they asked for to settle the debt outright with some Christmas money. Yet somehow the record of this transaction just so happened to get lost on their end.
At Masson's Relieverything wrote,
I always knew insurance was a scam/joke, but a few months ago, I tried getting on the Wegovy shot to help with weight loss. But they denied me every time, saying, well, only cover it if you have type 2 diabetes or liver failure, and I thought to myself, being this fat leads to both of those things. So why wait until it happens and makes my life worse? Oh, that's right, because even though we pay for insurance, we still can't really use it.
at Holly Martin 3291 wrote,
Almost all large law firms are this way. The real heartlessness in my employer truly showed when they took on debt collection. They went down in flames when he died, so corrupt. This showed me the dark underbelly of capitalism. I retired, cashed in, and moved abroad. I could see the writing on the wall.
Pony_Rabbit wrote,
I'm in school right now for my medical billing and coding certificate, and they constantly remind us that healthcare is a business because physicians provide a service, and they want to get paid for that service, so we the consumer/subscriber are to pay or die.
at Dr. Brain Tickler wrote,
This is nothing compared to what tech companies like YouTube, Google, and Facebook do to their users. And of course, thanks to journalists and the likes of Vice News, the voices of the unheard remain unheard. You're a bunch of biased hypocrites. Oh, and by the way, I have curative solutions for many industries, but you don't want to cover that story, do you, Vice? Or should I call you Lice News, because you're a bunch of parasites that capitalize on covering atrocities because you know people will pay attention to it.
at Charlie Apples wrote,
My mom has been an insurance agent specializing in flood insurance and property insurance, hurricane insurance, basically, in Florida for years. She's an award-winning adjuster and lecturer who gets paid to travel around the country teaching seminars at 5-star hotels and conference centers. Yet she has been fired from nearly every company she's worked for because sooner or later she has refused to be a team player or push for the close of a big payout. Basically, refused to back up the sales team or given breaks to people in impossible positions, failed to extract the amount her boss tells her to get from someone who's just lost their home and/or business, gotten in the way of profits. She's had more mental breakdowns than I can count. She hates herself. And yet she's been doing it for almost 30 years. She's tried working other jobs in various industries, but they simply don't pay enough to afford our family's basic bills. And nobody starts a new career in their late 50s. If she quits now, she'll lose her retirement pension that she's been paying into for decades. She hates herself, and she hates her job, but she's trapped. She's a good person who was just trying to feed her kids, but she'll never be able to forgive herself. It's so messed up.
at William Stone 8942 wrote,
Refreshing to see the old Vice again. Let's go. Dude, I've been an agent for 48 states, and I personally don't deal with the bill side of things, just the setup, but this industry will make you pray to God. Or hit your knees and just talk to the sky. 'Cause that's different. You know you're not actually helping these people. And they train you this way. And for someone who grew up in foster care who has severe ADHD, autism, bipolar, I'm the perfect agent that these people want. 'Cause I can talk. I can read other people more than they can read themselves. And I can convince them of things that they would never think of. But at the end of the day, it's still hard. You realistically just wind up taking that money and finding more escapes in your own life.
But also at the same time, nobody wants to live in America, be poor. Cause life is a lot harder on a poor man. So where is the fucking middle ground, you know?
At the Nacional 95 wrote,
Now that the wildfires are cooking all of California. Think about this. Think about what he is saying. They don't care about you. Rich, poor. Insurance companies will take everything you own if they can. And they will.
At VG41136 wrote,
My kids never had medical care because these country corrupted CPS workers caused me to lose my job. In everything, my kids went to Phoenix Children's Hospital. In these hospital, instead of helping my child, they give.
Erto pepes and then my kids back moleste rape. Anon. Es responsible la caitol de fucking insurance compañía no te caballero pepén.
At Luquido Percasa wrote,
This is why I quit a nice job in the insurance company years ago. Even though I was one of their best talent, I quit while I was going to be sent work overseas as expatriate.
At Midway Monster 30 wrote,
Had State Farm Insurance for well over 25 years with no issues. Then, over a span of 2 years, I had 3 claims, one of which wasn't even my fault. State Farm dropped me entirely.
At Blackshawolf 1212 wrote,
If was opposite side a company will drown a citizen into lifetime debts, but in certain companies escaping of it with no consequences it seems to be allowed so easily.
At Ioadrian05 wrote,
I hope California, and any other state, takes up the offer from Canada to join them as a new province so we can get universal free health care. Then we can ditch these evil and insane health insurance companies. Sounds like it's not just the health industry. This whole thing is ugly and inhumane.
Jazahir wrote,
Thank God my mother decided not to apply for moving to USA. She had a green card. I think third world countries are much better than what is shown in this documentary.
At a Volatile wrote,
Vice actually doing things for the betterment of society. It's about time you got off your liberal high horses. Hopefully. After all, you there at Vice spread bullshit lies that ruined people's lives for years. Keep up the good work you have shown lately. Maybe we will look at you as viable once again in the future. But don't get a big head as most of you do, and start cutting all the corners again, trying to sell out for clout. You know what I am talking about. Or are we just that dumb?
At Song of Mockingbird wrote,
This Medicare premium suck. Medicare premium withheld from check, and this only gives basic Medicare.
Patient foot 60% average out pocket.
So head purchase another 250. Zero plan. Prescription plan 450.00 monthly for medical complete with add-ons. Nuts. I pay 3 Pabrimers. And still have deductibles. I'm ready to drop it all. Take my chances or die. I'm okay with that. This is not a safe planet for old folks. Wake up as these progressives want us deleted.
At Natech 4164 wrote,
I'm an outlier, I know, but good Lord, have I cost insurance companies plenty of money. The bills, yikes, I spent thousands upon. Since there's no need to worry about max out of pocket, companies will still find a way to stick you with a bill. If I weren't covered these past 6 months, brain surgery, $270,000.
Genetic sequencing, $150,000. PCV chemo, $24,000.
Believe it or not, I don't actually have a spare $450,000 sitting around. I'm glad to have made it this far. I'm not sure how much harder an unavoidable medical bankruptcy would have made things, but people really shouldn't have to worry about shareholder P&L reports when it's life or death.
Eddie Bonapartes wrote,
This report strongly mirrors the practices of a well-known health and fitness company I once worked for in the UK. My role was advertised as membership retention, but it quickly became clear that I was essentially acting as the company's in-house debt collector, something that was not disclosed in the job description. The company's approach to its customers was nothing short of exploitative. We were instructed to pursue even the smallest debts, sometimes as little as £1 PO in T00, and sums only slightly higher were often escalated to legal action. It was deeply unsettling to witness a business so focused on extracting every possible penny from its customers, often disregarding basic empathy or ethical considerations. A particularly troubling policy involved demanding proof of death when members or their relatives passed away. The lengths to which the company went to recover payments, even in these tragic circumstances, were shocking. Fortunately, this practice was eventually abandoned, but only after significant backlash. I'm relieved to have left that corporate environment behind. I've since turned my attention to a simpler, more fulfilling path, with plans to embrace a life immersed in the peace and beauty of Canada's wilderness.
Karuzanek wrote,
The UK has free healthcare, but I think people forget that it was the UK citizens' only real reward for WW2. It also took that war and devastation of all of society until we realized, maybe we should all have access to healthcare. How quickly we forget, as well as our government would get rid of the NHS as it could. Left or right side doesn't matter, they just see the loss of money. Can't make money off healthcare, and you're not supposed to.
Azizel SG1QG wrote,
Whenever a debt collector calls me and is acting rude to me, I just waste their time. I'll keep making them go in circles, keep asking them the same questions, all to tell them I'm not paying at the end of it.
Mcosimist1 wrote,
This is what happens when government and private companies become interwoven in a capitalist system. True capitalism is that government doesn't subsidize, bail out, fund, or allow certain companies freedoms, money, and bailouts over other businesses.
At Azula, NT7UC wrote,
Just let this sink in. If me or you are walking down the street and see someone choking, do we automatically ask them for proof of insurance before we help them? How do you answer that should tell you everything you need to know?
At Creature Feature 78 wrote,
I don't have insurance because I don't make enough to get it on my own, but make too much for assistance. I haven't been to the doctor in about 10 years. I have accepted that if any major medical issue happens to me, I'm just going to die. Because that's the world we live in. I would rather die than give these greedy bastards a dime.
At God_STR1K3PSN94 wrote,
That was honestly super weird, very vague, and not too much detail. Like it was scripted. 8K I ain't buying nothing from some stranger. Plus, what's the anonymity about? I feel like exposing whoever you're talking about would get you out of that industry for sure.
At Rybread5363 wrote,
There are two very common American stories. One, you get sick or physically hurt and actively avoid help knowing you can't afford it. Or two, you go through all the steps to get insurance and then get denied once you need said insurance. You either live it or know someone with one or both of these stories.
At John Smith 7659 wrote,
I work in subrogation for a car insurance company. I'm glad I don't have to deal with individual people and instead just insurance companies. I have no qualms about it
But O could never do this. No way O could separate the human from the equation.
Tranier wrote,
This is sad, but it's always been like this. Black and brown people have been ringing the alarm for decades about these problems, but no one wanted to listen. If you're wondering why nothing been, just look who it's hurting.
At General Population 6273 wrote,
No group of people being abused ever ended their misery by appealing to the better nature of their tormentors. Their misery ended when the fear of God was instilled into their abusers.
At Dogm 34T_20 wrote,
This is the kind of world America has voted to continue. If any American thinks any of this will change over the next 4 years, they are delusional. We elected a CEO to run our country, a failed felonious CEO. Who do you think he cares about you? 'Cause it ain't you.
At Michael Brady 9170 wrote,
The informer does not inform. It speaks using extremely vague terms that do not inform the audience about the purpose of the calls other than to get money. But for what? Premiums? Overpayments? Deductible issues? Very dramatic nonsense. I thought Vice would be better at informing the audience.
Truittback wrote,
What a sad situation. They make it their mission to drain as much money as possible from people and deny as much as they can to not have to pay. They ruin people's lives to keep their profits high. What a shameless business. It's such a disgrace that these companies have so much power here in this country. They're the reason healthcare is so unaffordable. It's depressing as hell.
At J. Jones 99 wrote,
We need to start pushing for laws to be in place to de-anonymize ALL insurance companies, hospital and hospital systems, and everyone involved at NY point in this money and life-sucking industry. I'm talking about full names and faces, and even the headquarters and district office addresses. Then they'll be afraid and maybe act right.
And Meteoros wrote,
This is exactly what happened to me last year with an ER visit for a kidney stone. Unbelievably high charge, where the hospital maximized the coding of the matter, followed by a very quick threatening call shortly after, and before I even received a bill or an EOB from insurance. That was a red flag to me, and I pushed back in a way I don't think they expected. I touched the top brass at the collection entity in Texas. I live in NC, and the regional president of the for-profit hospital network in Nashville, TN, neither of whom have a visible presence online. But I found them, it took me a while, and contacted them directly and armed myself with recent healthcare legislation and threatened them back. The 180-degree turnaround both the hospital and the collection agency made was amazing. Never heard from the collection agency again, and the hospital discounted my charge as well as pretended to provide polite customer service, aware that I could have taken it further and been more of a legal nuisance to them. It took a lot of my time, however, and most people don't have the time or resources to push back. Take home. Find the person at the top and let them know you know who they are and where they are, both professionally and personally, and know the protection laws which apply to your situation.
At Jonk 3769 wrote,
And I was wondering why our Congress was trying to pass a bill that excluded them out of Obamacare, as if they weren't making enough millions from stocks. SMHR GDP per capita makes the rest of the world think Americans have the best lives yet. They have no idea a full-time minimum wage job gives you barely enough for rent if you are lucky, and I am 100% serious. Compare that to the Philippines, where $1 is worth about 56 pesos. A minimum wage job out there is able to put food on your table, a roof over your head, and you still have some money that you can save. Businesses who are making billions continue to push management for more and more efficiency, which they don't understand humans can only do so much with two hands. So, what have you noticed these businesses decide humans can't keep up? Yes, they replace us with AI, which there is absolutely no pros to artificial intelligence, as look at your local Walmart. One cashier human, the rest make you scan plus bag everything. Maybe I just think too much, however. I don't see anything good happening when CEOs are solely motivated to make money until their time has come.
Eva Grammer wrote,
I worked medical call center customer service for a time, and it was truly a horrible job. But the real death knell for me to quit was when they started training me to do collections. I soon after had an anxiety attack that put me in the ER caused by the job, and I quit soon after.
Adalora 61489 wrote,
If it's not insurance, it's the hospital too. My insurance company had to threaten to sue TB Hospital because they paid out, but hospital kept saying they didn't and harassed me for payment. Went on three-way call and let the insurance company yell at them.
At JJ_1962 wrote,
These comments and videos go back years and still nothing changes. It took Luigi to bring this to the world stage, and only then, had a 1% CEO not get neutralized, it would have never made the news. Proves the 1% get unlimited resources, while us peasants get barely a crumb.
At Soraya LeBlanc 588 wrote,
Were born in debit and will die in debit. I'ma live my life to the fullest, keep calling all you want. I get hurt, I'ma take my happy ass to the earth for 24 hours, until the service my needs regardless if I have poor insurance. Me, I just let my phone ring, and if I answer, and they are nasty with me, they're going to hear dee dial tone. And then my voicemail.
At Diesel_BXNY wrote,
I'm a blue-collar mechanic in NYC. I'm charged $100 a week out of my check faithfully. I can't even find a dentist on my health plan who would want to repair a tooth but would love to pull it. I don't condone murder, but I also don't condone the treatment of our health care for hard-working Americans.
At Discombobulated Senpai wrote,
We Americans need to drop complacency and rose-tinted glasses and begin holding the superfluously greedy and abusive accountable by any means possible. The police do not exist to protect and serve, as often observed from their lack of action during school shootings, blatant abuse of people of color, domestic abuse bias, and monetary incentivization to ties off find guilty people. When no guilty people are left to find, they make up reasons to arrest or fine people under vague pretense, oftentimes impeding our own constitutional and civil rights. Unless you are wealthy, you are guilty until proven innocent. Police are lapdogs for the rich who hold themselves above the law, and that is sadly not new behavior. 1% of Americans hold around 30% of the country's money, and this video is a prime example of the efforts they buy will go to when we, the abused, suddenly take note of the puppeteers smugly looking down on us from their self-appointed thrones. When peaceful protests are attacked by our government that exists by the people, for the people, and laws created to ban our civil right to protest, people like Luigi are the logical next course of action. Sic semper tyrannis.
At Kimberly Short 8807 wrote,
Anytime a debt collector calls, if you don't intend on paying, then tell them, I don't have money, I'm not paying, and tell them to stop calling. Everyone needs to learn the fair debt collection practices and learn how to send a cease and desist in the event that these losers will actually give you the info, such as the address, if not find it. Once you've done that, file a complaint with the FTC if they continue to reach out to you. There are other laws about phone calls to collect debts and what collectors can and cannot say. Keep records of every single call. They are only allowed to call you a certain number of times a day and week, and during certain hours of the day. Again, be locked and loaded with knowledge, and when they give you the racket, you educate them on the law. If you ever agree to a payment plan or say you will pay, etc., it can start the 7-year time frame over from day one, depending on what you say, and lengthen the amount of time the debt stays on your credit. I was also chronically ill a few years ago, and I got the calls to stop and now have 0 collections on my credit as I just let the time pass and they were removed. In another instance, they called my job and my family members, and I sent my own drafted letter, demand letter, and in that named a specific amount that I would accept in order to not sue the pants off of them. And I got what I asked for, and more, as they paid me the original amount that I already paid in as well. It helps to know the laws.
Science 1616 wrote,
I now have a DNR order on my ID. I can't afford food or rent. How can I afford health care? And why should I if I'm alive but thousands in debt? Like I'll be living in a tent and paying off medical bills.
At MVM, 7 wrote,
I remember before COVID seeing interviews on universal healthcare. A lot of Americans were against it, talking without the knowledge about the topic. It's just bad because it takes a long time to get an appointment. It's good to see that Americans talk with more facts and discuss the problem.
J. Eric Sandoval, 566 wrote,
Word to the wise. You get a call from a debt collector. Guess what? They bought your debt as a speculative investment, meaning it's a risk that they are gambling on whether or not you are afraid of them. But you didn't do business with them. There's no contract, meaning you owe them nothing. There's literally nothing they can do to you. So your job is to be firm and forceful with them, to make it clear that you understand your rights and their rights. They have no right to anything from you unless you was out once. If you ever pay them, then you owe them. It means that you made contract with them recognizing a debt you owe to them because they bought a debt that belonged to someone that was yours and are agreeing to transfer the debt contract to them and accept personal responsibility for it.
Deny till you die, folks.
They keep calling, let them call. Makit fun. It's more fun when they get mad too. They get mad because they know you're beating that ass. You get them mad, you win. They will back off and stop calling you. I know they did when they realized that no matter what they said, no matter what they did, they never get $0.01 from me. Good luck, y'all. Fan.
Telebella wrote,
This reminds me of when I used to work at a mortgage call center. There is a very huge disconnect from the people who are calling in needing help/or relief, the worker providing assistance on the line, and the company servicing the loan. Same with these medical insurance companies.
At Hassan Rayan 3921 wrote,
America money have been stole by Zionist Israel pretend to love America really America people when are going to wake up. They make you busy Iran and Islam and taking all your taxes while you can't get free medicine like Europe or Canada act.
Tmor 2010 wrote,
I remember debt collectors trying to get my mom to pay my dead father's medical debts. You don't want a spirit to be in distress over due debts.
At Avinash Pugin 1376 wrote,
The YOEs is fucked, and at some point it's going to break up badly.
What's even more sad is that man countries are following in the footsteps of this evil country.
Isamu wrote,
This is why Islam bans all forms of insurance as being another form of usury. This is why the powers that be have vilified the religion so much. It's the only religion left for them to change from within, and they won't succeed.
Davna wrote,
This figure needs to be addressed. $1 billion. 1 billion dedicated to a cause at the rate of $1 million a month would sustain that cause for 6 po in T9 years. That's incredible. What's more amazing is when you apply it to a business. That $1 billion bonus the bigwig received. Well, if that was pumped into payroll, it would cover a $500 monthly increase for 2,000 employees for almost 7 years. People before profits. Expose the oligarchy. Don't let Luigi down.
A B1R2Y3N wrote,
Somehow our deluded nation thinks billionaires want to help them. They vote them into power and then cheer them on, not because their lives are better, but because they attack the other side. Meanwhile, the billionaires continue to extract, while average Americans fight over who is using what bathroom.
A Bodbefoser wrote,
Meanwhile, there are people who depend on welfare and go to ER during cold and rainy weather to get a warm good night's sleep and food. They simply call 911 and request EMS. They are taking away resources from the people who actually need it.
At Dem7615 wrote,
Most insurance companies have gone private ownership to make profits over the last 40 years. I used to work there when these takeovers happened. 2 different large insurance companies in my state in New England. We can't afford the profit margins of these companies going for salaries and stockholders. The profits need to be turned back into the company for medical care. We need national health care without stockholders.
At Ace01010 wrote,
I worked at State Farm for 8 months of my life, and I used to joke, if you hate your life, your family, and have no social life, then working at an insurance company is for you. The whole thing about you are poor, and winning is 100% true. If you have any moment of compassion and humanity in your heart for customers, you will be reprimanded. The more your insurance costs, the better that commission fee for said agent will look. My boss and co-workers didn't like that I would get interpersonal with my clients, but it's like, I just spent a decent amount of time on this phone with this sweet lady who is a mother struggling to pay her bills, and she is profusely thanking me for getting her bill lowered. Moments like that made that job bearable. Don't miss it. Cool customers I do miss.
A Fishman wrote,
Our health insurance is set up kind of like the way we pay our taxes. It's intentionally confusing and makes you jump through hoops even though there are clear outlines on what you're responsible to pay. The government knows how much you owe in taxes and it's up to you to file your deductions. But if you make a mistake, they're coming after you. Health insurance companies know exactly what they cover and what they don't. Yet they'll still try to deny claims in the hopes you roll over and pay so that they don't have to pay for you. And that's more profits in their pockets. These people are scummy as hell.
A Balzismsk wrote,
I'm over 11K in debt at the age of 18 because I didn't have insurance when I got into a wreck. They suspended my license after sending the mail to the wrong address, and now I can't even drive to work to make the money to pay it off. For one mistake, my life is completely over, and I've lost a lot of hope.
At Oneoffmany 1087 wrote,
I had a horrible dream night before last. That Luigi died 1/9/2025. They said he killed himself, but the dream was they did it. 2 guys, 1 black and 1 white. And they didn't work in the jail but was let in. God, I pray that my dream doesn't come true.
At Celestial_Turtle wrote,
I used to work for a small company that collected on medical debt. I was not a debt collector. It wasn't involved with the health insurance companies. Instead, it contracted with local hospitals to collect on patient accounts. Some of the debt collectors, they were the worst scum you could imagine. Our company had to stop the annual Halloween costume contest because a team of the debt collectors dressed up as excuses they heard from patients. One dressed as an old lady in hospice. One dressed as a single mom unable to pay her bills. I don't remember the others, but these sickos thought they were being clever. They would tell patients to cut back on groceries so they could pay their medical debt. Awful place. I quit after 4 months.
At Denise McVeigh wrote,
A lot of people don't know this, but Scientology is the brainchild of insurance abuses. It's called fair game, which essentially calls for agents to do whatever it takes to get money from its customers.
At Josh_Ari wrote,
All of you who say a loving God would never send people to an afterlife of eternal torture. This video proves you wrong. A good shepherd protects his sheep from the wolves. The Creator sends them there because he loves us so much.
At Barbarella, artist wrote,
Only Americans. Don't be homeless and lazy. Yet health insurance or taxes shouldn't pay for your health care. It should go to big corps and military instead. Only losers don't have health insurance. Meanwhile, the health insurance.
At Louis Bale 1 wrote,
I remember when an insurance company kept calling me when my children were little. They denied a claim for them and started calling/harassing me for payment for a year. I blocked them and changed my phone number. And I didn't pay it. I got another phone call from a company that was looking for a neighbor that lived on my street, but I didn't know them. I had to curse them out, and I filed a complaint with the FCC as well.
At McCryack wrote,
Luigi Mangini started something fundamental. Healthcare companies will try to shut down and call anybody who supports Luigi a terrorist. That's where actual freedom of speech needs protection. When it challenges a corrupt legal system that isn't just. Luigi has a large popular support. He is a Robin Hood. A just criminal. If our legislation doesn't curtail insurance companies, they will see an army of Robin Hoods like Luigi.
Sigmutic Bish wrote,
This kind of stuff does not bother me. I have 80 years at most on this earth. And I will not waste it away worrying about debt. Hope you see this, insurance companies. You are not even on my radar.
At Sleaze6034 wrote,
I had a friend who had plans to visit Korea and broke his arm while biking 2 days before. Instead of going to the doctor here, he decided to suck up the pain and just wait until he got to Korea to get it fixed. Although he felt an insane amount of pain, he said it was worth waiting as the prices there were only a small fraction of the cost compared to America. This is healthcare in a nutshell here.
A Downward Elevator wrote,
Something else to thank Republicans for, the healthcare system. And still they won. Those who voted for him think Trump cares about the average American. They're such fools. He is with companies, and for the wealthy, everyone else just gets a MAGA hat and a dose of fake patriotism.
At Reeve3288 wrote,
Also, ridiculous. Oh lol. Talk to me crazy, and I'm hanging up. Block these calls. Have confidence, trust in Jesus, and don't let people on the phone intimidate you.
At a 1 Suwaisi wrote,
This is why I love being a dick to these companies. Can't say much, but all I'm going to say is look into debt collection laws. The U.S. does protect you against these guys, but you have to do your research.
At J_Japan wrote,
This is the natural progression of things when we turn our backs on God when we replace God with a golden calf, which, in our modern times, is the dollar bill.
That guy 299 wrote.
We are all wage slaves for the system that continues to screw us every day. Insurance, whether it be auto, life or health, is nothing more than an ever-expanding Ponzi scheme to keep the 1% wealthy and fat while we work ourselves into early graves. And let's not forget taxes! Taxes and more taxes!
At Largamo wrote.
In America, if you don't pay insurance and pay cash, it is 30%, 50% more expensive. Sometimes even double. So you have no choice but to get insurance. 10. The insurance company screws you by not paying. You are literally cooked, no matter what you do.
At Zenit B Beats 7209 wrote.
I started receiving calls regarding medical bills and couldn't understand why when I never sought medical treatment. I said that I was sure they had the wrong number. To my shock and horror, a neighbor who had throat cancer, who I had befriended, gave the telephone number of the concierge fitness business I had on the side of my van as her phone number. She knew she was never going to pay and would be a victim of collection calls. I got them instead until I threatened to sue them for harassment because of their lack of due diligence in finding out if this was a case of mistaken identity. It would be easy to get mad at that woman who eventually died. But to me, the real crime is that we don't have universal health care, so she shouldn't have to go through any of that in the first place. Because of how wrought up our healthcare system is, both of us ended up victims.
At Ruth B51 wrote.
I understand that people need to work. I'm not going to begrudge those who are living paycheck to paycheck, doing what they can to survive. But the onus is on you to get out of those industries that take advantage of the vulnerable as soon as you can. If you choose not to, or worse, make a career out of it, then you're culpable.
Darja Truth wrote.
Plus more, I had to literally yell at them and threaten them on the phone with a lawsuit 18 years ago if they don't leave me alone. They have, but they've forged my signatures for life insurances, so what do I do?
Jimsutho wrote.
212 if I were on hospice, knowing I was about to die. I wouldn't take calls from any of those Chuckliff CKS. I would cancel whatever phone they had for me, get a new one, and only give that number to close friends and family I wanted to talk to.
At Have a Great Day 54 wrote.
This can be said about the entire American workforce. The saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, is no longer valid. Today, you do not want to be a metal link in a plastic chain. You will only weigh it down.
Triapley wrote.
Loving these stories. The PPL need to keep saying what's going on. Eventually, the people will get tired. S&D put an end to this plague these corporations keep us under.
And Marta One Buck wrote.
Let me get this straight. In the USA, people are dying because of unaffordable health care. The youth refuses to reproduce because of high living cost, and the current government is hostile towards immigrants.